Hello, this is Greg Gauss from Green Greg's coming to you on the 5th of January 21. Time on deck 4,300 hours Central Standard Time. Yes, it is in the wee hours of the morning. And I'm bringing to you a word with some warning, but also some hope. As you know, I'm often talking about concerns I have for things to come, and particularly things like what China might do or cause to happen here in the United States and around the world. As you know, I'm often concerned about war with China or them precipitating a major economic collapse. You should see my previous video on this, because that video, China to attack Taiwan this spring, global economic crash, World War III, and reset. That's a foundational video for this video, my predictions video that I just did, and some other videos to come. It goes in great detail, connects a lot of dots, and talk about the reset of great, which is not so great. You know what I mean. Alrighty, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff in that video, guys. Check it out. Now, all that said, I'll bring you this video today with some hope. But, you know, this is hope that, you know, maybe there will be change in China, that maybe we won't have the war. I think the economic crash is pretty much on its way irregardless. But at least maybe we can avert war, possibly if there's a change in leadership within the CCP, or maybe even the CCP goes away. And that is possible. But I will tell you why and why not to hold your breath. But I will tell you what you can do too. So all that's coming, and some of that's toward the end. This will be a much faster video than my last China video, but we are going to go in some presentation mode. I bring you this as part of my eyes wide open and head on the swivel news, guys, so that you can know to be ready to get prepared. And my friends, I got to tell you what, knowing these things that can come and what they are helps you not have the deer in the headlight shock should they hit you. It helps you be already mentally prepared. And that way you kind of skate through it. You're not just in shock. And that's important. But also share this stuff with your friends and family so they'll know to get ready. These videos. I do a lot of videos on this topic. And for that reason, you should subscribe to my channel, bang the bell for update notifications. All righty. Now I got to tell you what. Watch the videos on gardening. Watch the videos on how to sanitize and purify your water. Two separate things there, Mr. Dave Hodges. And I got other prepping type videos in here, especially the Bugout videos. But my friends, in a time like this, when we're facing so much trials and tribulations in the world, know this: especially if we have a war that goes nuclear with anywhere in the world, it might cause a nuclear winter. If there's a volcanic winter, an asteroidal winter, or a grand solar minimum just gets too intense, it may be hard to grow for a little while in the summer times. So if that should happen, Bugout food is going to be very important. And it's also good for bugging out, by the way. But go to prepforgreg.com, where we got a special there where it's $100 off a 3-month supply of this, guys. And it's 2,000 calories a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That'll make you a winner, because some of the other companies like giving you only 800. And this is lightweight, easy to carry, easy to store. Your kids can carry it. Carry this one and more. So, and also those buckets are great and handy in a bug-out situation. As it hits the fan, they're useful for a lot of stuff. Honey bucket, if you need it, if you know what I mean. I'm not talking about the honey bees, mate. Alrighty, if you know the old lingo here. But but for storage of a lot of stuff, and they're great to put in a cache, like the preposition. If you think you might have to go somewhere, have a little secret hiding places, bury your treasure. If you go into prepwithgreg.com, you can click the My Patient Supply logo. You can get all kind of prepping supplies therein. All right, enough said about that. Also, do check out True Leaf Market, because you know somewhere down the road you're going to be able to need to grow some food. All right, that said, let's get into this. What we're going to talk about here is we're going to start with a little humor. I'm going to be like, you know, the typical engineer. We're going to go to a slideshow first. That's what us engineers like. And forgive me in advance, guys, because I can't maximize this, because if I go into screen mode here, for some reason Zoom isn't keeping up with it now. You'll see this chart forever. But coming here into this mode, we shouldn't have a problem. Anyway, Xi Jinping's Great Fall. We got to start with a little humor, but you know, we have to surf the apocalypse with some laughter on occasion, right? And we'll get all into this topic. This is a very serious topic, by the way. So, and this thing don't want to click when I want it to. Here we go. The Great Wall of China, the Great Wall and the Great Fall. Xi Jinping sat on a great wall. Xi Jinping had a great fall. All the PLA forces and all the CCP's men couldn't put Xi Jinping back together again. Well, that might be the outcome, guys, of some of the stuff we're going to talk about. So let's see here. But, you know, Mr. Xi Jinping is trying to get himself set up to be in power for the rest of his life. Total power, absolute power within China, within the Southeast and Asia there and around the world. So we know that he's got a big program to modernize his forces, his military, and he's put a tall priority on that above all things else, it seems, above his economy and many other things, which, you know, that's kind of typical of a dictator. Just look in North Korea, the poor people there are starving to death, but they're making nuclear weapons, right? Sad choice. I don't know that China can go quite that far into austerity because the people there have had a taste of prosperity. We'll have to see how that goes. That taste of prosperity might be the downfall, literally the downfall off the wall of Xi Jinping. So we shall see. But Xi Jinping has started his wolf warrior tactics. You know, that is where he's getting tough with the world all at once. Instead of China being the smiling Mr. Nice Guy, now they're throwing their power, their weight around. They thought they could get away with it because everyone was so greedy for what they had, their goods, their services, their cheap labor. But you know what? The world just really has a hard time tolerating that. And so China has been surprised to find it's not going so well with a lot of other powers and countries in the world. And so they are getting a lot of pushback for this wolf warrior policy where they want to take places like Taiwan, parts of India, the Senkaku Islands with Japan. And the fact that they are repressing and holding down so many people within China, vast minority groups like the Tibetans, which was a country before they invaded, the Inner Mongolians. These guys can't even speak their own language in their own schools. Oh my gosh. And the worst base maybe of all is the Uyghur population, not to mention several other religious groups within the country, such as the Falun Gong, Christians, anybody of faith that isn't any faith except for the CCP, the state. So to them, that is the only faith and faith that anybody can put their trust into. But, you know, we see that Xi Jinping has global ambitions. And in fact, they're on their way, they hope, to planet China, to total homogeneity. You know, they want to take over, replace the United States and go beyond. And that was the road they were on with their Silk Road. But somewhere along the way, a little bump, they're hitting some speed bumps. But if they keep in this direction, whether speed bumps or not, maybe because of the speed bumps, we may find ourselves in conflict with China, and it may go to the worst case. And that was this is part of the subject of that previous video, part of the subject, not the entire subject, my friends. That video is very broad and covers a lot of waterfront, things outside of China included that are connected to China. So you really want to see that video. But, you know, there is other people in China that might think otherwise, as opposed to the chairman of the Communist Party, the Chinese Communist Party. And this is the former chairman of the Communist, not the ex-former, but a former chairman of the Communist Party, Jiang Zemin. And Jiang Zemin happens to have an alternative following that thinks a bit different than Xi Jinping. And so a lot of people think that Jiang Zemin is going to maybe lead to the replacement of Xi Jinping, but don't go there so fast. Oh, by the way, this gentleman is 90, well, I won't say gentleman, this individual is 95 years old. And you shouldn't put up too much hope for him, even though he keeps an eye on Xi Jinping. You often find them together in photographs. Even though he's allegedly retired, he's still kind of sort of active to be a 95-year-old man. But, you know, like I said, before you put all your faith in a man, you might consider his past too. Jiang Zemin, as you can see, retired Chinese politician who had been the general secretary of the Communist Party. Not good, happy stuff, right? But he came to power as a compromise candidate at the Tiananmen Square protest, where he replaced Zhao Ziyang, who was the CCP general secretary at that time. Although he's not listed on one of the lists, I see, which is kind of interesting. So I guess, you know, they sometimes the Chinese like to erase their history. I should show you that chart. But it just so happens that Zhao was kind of in favor of the student protests when they were wanting freedom. They wanted democracy. They wanted liberty. And they protested for it in Tiananmen Square and that went very bad. Many of them were attacked. Many. Some people say thousands of them lost their lives. So I don't know, guys, but listen, we know this, that it was a very ugly affair. So, but it was telling you that there is a taste for freedom there in China when they were having these protests. A lot of us had a lot of hope that China would come our way. And well, we need to talk about that some in general too. The United States has a history of blowing up things like that and not taking, leading people to freedom, like Russia when they broke up. When the Soviet Union broke up, we actually went in and tried to pick their bones dry, which was horrible. And that's why we don't have peace with Russia today, in part, as our banksters, our vulture capitalists went over there and just tried to pick the place apart, looking for bargains to eat from the carrion of the former empire. So we should never do that. But anyway, so what happened here was, he did embrace and was embracing the previous opening up and reform policies of Deng Xiaoping, who was the predecessor, one of the main predecessors to Mao Zedong, the first big major predecessor. He didn't take power instantly, but pretty much right after Mao took over. And he started this policy of opening up and reform, which led to China having a form of communism with Chinese, or socialism, as they said it, with Chinese characteristics, which was something of a market economy, but a socialist market economy, they say here. But, Xi Jinping wants to take that in another direction. But see, like I said, you can't put too much hope in Jiang Zemin, because look, not only that did was he involved in replacing the guy that was supporting freedom from Tiananmen Square, but he's done his own crackdowns, my friends. He's been part of repression of the Uyghurs, repression of people throughout China. And this is what you find here. Let's see, where is it? He has been part of those kind of activities. He has been part of the repression of the Uyghurs, part of many things like that. So don't put too much hope in any one individual, because he's still a member of the CCP, and he was, inside the Politburo, the steering committee of the Politburo. But anyway, so as we know, Xi is setting up a whole way of controlling his own people, guys, through the currency, through their social media. So the controls he's setting up, he's gotten rid of the reform and opening up. He's considered that to be a thing of the past. He has gotten rid of a lot of the venture capitalists. A lot of people that have disappeared, like the richest man in China, Jack Ma. Jack Ma has disappeared, apparently. A lot of people there are just disappearing. What happens to them? So that's a problem in a communist society. You don't have to be charged with anything. You don't have to have a trial by the jury. If you don't like you, poof, you're gone. See, that's why I tell you, any one-party system is open for corruption, and over time they become more and more corrupt. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And when you get a one-party system that's going to be the only party by definition, well, you just got all kinds of problems for corruption. Hey, look at this little guy here. Looking up. All right. Well, they're having a lot of other problems in China, my friends. Lots of problems there, because people just they're not making the money. They're suffering there in China. Xi's system is not working. This comes from Radio Free Asia, by the way. It's what RFA is. And here's the web link up there to it, Radio Free Asia, if you want to find it. What's happening there now is the government is slashing civil service pay and teacher bonuses, especially the bonuses right now, and the local governments and around China, because you know what? They're all in debt. They're all having money, financial issues. What's supposed to happen in a communist country, was it? Yeah, China's workers report big pay cuts, guys. You see what's happening there? And the Chinese Communist Party is set to contract. Yeah, TFI Global, this is an Indian media company that makes a lot of announcements about things going on in China. They're kind of interesting to follow. They have a newspaper, a website. They've got their YouTube channel, maybe their website and their YouTube channel. But they put out a lot of reports that are interesting, but I don't think they always get it exactly right, because they're so, they're an Indian organization. I like WWIII also, but they're tend to be a little maybe overly optimistic. So Yeah, look at this. So what's China facing? You know, that's going to put a lot of pressure on Chairman Xi Jinping. Is that they're popular? This has got two sides to this. Not only putting pressure on Xi Jinping, but also what happens here is that if we can hold off a war with China just for a few more years, China may not be able to fight a war. I think China will always be a great country, powerful country in many respects, especially if they go to freedom. But this whole ambition of fighting the wars and wolf warrior stuff may be a thing of the past in a few years just by default, because they just may not be able to pull it off. And I covered that in my China video also. I go into great detail. But these things like where the population is shrinking and going older too. It's both shrinking and growing older, which is going to drive up the labor costs, which is the basis of the Chinese economy. So it's going to change how China operates fundamentally in the world. Now, China does have a lot of infrastructure, and they made big investments in technology. So China will still be a power to reckon with economically, but hopefully in a good way if they turn to freedom, and if we can get them to turn that leaf. But here is the Politburo, and of course Xi Jinping. But you know, guys, there's this letter that came out, and TFI Global was one of the organizations that pointed this out, and they saw this and they were celebrating this was the end of Xi Jinping due to problems coming up in the media there in China. And several other Chinese analysts took the same venue on this particular article here, because it looked like it was attacking Xi kind of covertly. But if you go see Chris Chappell on China Uncensored, you know, he gave a really good video on this, and he pointed out, oh, it's really just quite the opposite, because this article here talks about how great the reform and opening up was, and it talked about the three principles in it: Deng Xiaoping, Jiang Zemin, and Hu Jintao. Let's see, got these guys down here somewhere. Here they are. This is Deng Xiaoping, this is Jiang Zemin, and this is Hu Jintao. They were the three principal chairmen of the Communist Party during that time, the Chinese Communist Party. And they were leading very much that opening up and reform movement. And so this article seems to sing praise for it. But it only named them. It didn't name Xi Jinping. So a lot of the analysts said, wow, they're not talking about Xi Jinping. Then this must be a harken for the time of the old, and they're wanting to maybe clip his wings if this is some kind of big insult to Xi Jinping. But it was probably quite the opposite. Not that at all. So what happens next is there was another article that came out. So this is more of that reform and opening up article there. It came out. This version came out on the 9th of December, as you can see here. But then, so a lot of people are thinking that, you know, this is the guy who started the reform and opening up. And these are the three principles of its era. But then another article came out. And this article says, hey, basically, guys, this reform and opening up didn't work. It had its place and replaced, you know, it says, hey, Chairman Mao was great and wonderful, but Chairman Mao had some problems. You know, and they're talking about, you know, if you don't take a lot to understand that the Cultural Revolution, the Great Leap Forward, actually the Great Leap Forward came first, were disasters that led to tens of millions of people who expired. There were disasters in the history of China. And so they try to say, well, this was an attempt to fix it, you know, the reform and open up. But the reform and open up had problems and corruption. And so it says that those problems existed until the 18th National Congress. You see it right here, 18th National Congress, which happens to be the one where Xi Jinping took over. Xi Jinping, it basically is insinuated here is having fixed that by getting rid of the graft and corruption, in which he purged 1 million members of the CCP. Something like 1 million members. Crazy numbers. What happened there? Well, these were probably friends of Jiang Zemin, who's in the middle here. And Jiang, you know, so, you know, was it really graft and corruption, or was it more of a political purge? You tell me. There's speculation about that. But one of the other things that it said in this article, though, that kind of really emphasizes this, is that the following statement was made. Under reform and opening up, there was a deviation in the content and method of the party's leadership, the effects of which were not really eliminated until after the 18th Party Congress. Again, it goes back to this 18th Party Congress, guys. So again, it's saying Xi Jinping came along and saved the day. You know, it's like, hey, Chairman Mao was great. He set us on the right path, but he had a few little problems along the way. There was an attempt to fix it through the reform and opening up, but it had problems too, graft and corruption. But Xi Jinping is coming along to make China great again. Actually, that was his motto at one point, make China great again. Yeah, imagine that. So there he is, setting himself up. This is why I said earlier that, you know, there's signs of hope that that there might be cracks in this system, that and there is a lot of discontent in China. There is a lot of discontent. There are people who are now under their breath talking about these things and griping within China, so much so that the CCP believes that the media censors are not being strict enough, and they are disturbed at the anti-CCP content, and that has been distributed through some of the alternate media sites in China. And China is putting fines on them, like Weibo. Weibo was recently fined about $750 in U.S. money for violating some of the country's laws. Weibo was fined about 444 times since Xi took over. And I think they've had to pay like just in the last 11 months, $2.2 million. Another Chinese social media site, Doberg, I don't know if I'm saying that right, was fined $230,000 here recently, and about 1.4 over the last year up through November. And China's finding they're having to censor their censors, so they're cracking down. There's a lot of crackdown by the Central Committee, but you know, guys, it's the central banks too. The People's Bank of China is taking a lot of issue with Xi Jinping, so he does have his hands full. There are those who are his enemies, and he's made a lot of enemies in his consolidation of power. So especially when he's shut down trillion-dollar tech industries and made a lot of people disappear, and really stepped on a good part of the economy of China with his new back to communism rules. So we'll have to see how this plays out. So there's still hope, but what will happen is he's not going to lose power until probably some of the key people in the party decide that that he just run everything, and they take action themselves, or unless there's just a big enough massive uprising in the people themselves. Remember, there's always more of us than there are of them when it comes to the people and leadership in the country. And the leadership always counts on the idea that you never figure that out. Well, guess what I'm telling you? So if you figure that out, this guy's got to go away or behave himself. But in the meantime, this is what we don't want. This is what we want to avoid. And like I said, if we can manage to hold it off by being strong and helping other people that we ally with or we're friends to, like Taiwan, to be strong, then maybe we avoid this, because China's going down, guys. They're losing ground, and especially again, there's the Evergrande. Their economy is about to tank. Of course, that may be, like I said before in my previous video, they may want to use it while they still got it, because they won't be able to afford, possibly won't be able to afford a big military once all this really starts sinking in. And then they got the long-term problems with the low birth rate, the aging population. Should be something to celebrate, actually. And see, older people are beautiful. Check that out. Come on, that's cute. She's cute, right? But you know, there is in China a desire for liberty. This is from the Tiananmen Square days, guys. These are the students. They wanted liberty. They told us so. They were excited. Look at their faces. They had hope in their face, but they got squashed. But then again, just never forget the power of an individual. This is Tank Man, and this wasn't the only tanks he stopped. He helped back an entire battalion. This is what an individual can accomplish. It is possible. Of course, there had to be a little compassion in that front driver there. He wasn't going to just run him over. Maybe some other driver would have. So we had a good confrontation there of a resolute, determined individual and a military tank driver who had just a little bit of compassion. Let's hope that we face that on both sides going forward, guys. But the other tanks didn't run around him. They all stood there just like that. So there is hope, guys. And especially like I said, there's more of us than there is of them. Whether you're Chinese, American, or whoever you are in the world, if you're being oppressed, always remember there's more of you than there are of them. But hey, maybe one day China will return to freedom and resume building their beautiful, bright, shining cities and live in peace with nature and the world. That's what we got to hope. But in the meantime, it don't at the moment look like we're heading that way. It looks like we're heading here. Let's hope that's not the case. But what can you do about it? Well, you can, and that's the thing I'm talking about here. You can, it's kind of like only you can stop communism. Only you can stop the CCP. Well, that may be not just you. The people in China will be the main people that can do that, but you can help. And there's things that you can do. One thing is not empower them. Well, we need all hands on deck to make this work. But quit buying all that Chinese stuff. Shop local. It's better for the world. It's better for your economy. It's less impact on the environment. If you buy stuff local, it helps your neighbors, your friends, keep some money at home, and you're not empowering the Chinese Communist Party and the People's Liberation Army to buy more tanks and build more ships. See, they've used all that cheap junk you bought from Wally World just for that. All right, and you can also call and contact your Congress critters. And for that, I highly recommend you check out the Freedom Restoration Foundation, and you go over here and click Action Center, and it takes you to this site here. You know what? I'm going to stop this share and take you to that. Hang on. Hey, hello. How y'all doing today? Let's go over to this other place. Ding, ding, ding. Where is it at? I got to go to. That's not what we'll find. Here we go. And we're going to. Yeah, that's my other video you need to check out. China to attack Taiwan. Check that out, guys. Here we go. When you come to this website, this is the website of the Freedom Restoration Foundation. It's freedomrestorationfoundation.org. There it is. Here. Check it out. Look at it. Check it out. Come in and hit Action Center. There's links in the video. Action Center. Action Center will tell you some of our latest things that we're chasing. I've got to update a few of these, add some. It tells you that you can make your voices count. It tells you how to track bills in the Congress, how to track bills in your state, how to contact legislators in your state, how to find out who your Congress representative is, how to find out who your senators are, how to reach them, Capitol Switchboard, 1 for Senate, 2 for House of Representatives, press or say it. And find out, here's where your senator. Senate tells you about sending an email. Excuse me, about calling, about writing, about what to write, what to say on the phone, and just all this stuff here again. And we do have a lot of stuff about legislation on here and this resources part, certain things that we put some emphasis in lately. A lot of detailed information about legislation. We got to update that when we'll change what's in there over time. We do have a couple of state-oriented pages here, things going on in Arizona and Alabama. There'll be more to come in these. We have board members in other states. So that's just the 2 that's been feeding the process here so far. We've had a very active group in China. That would be nice. In Arizona. And we've got a large group here in Alabama. We've got board members from Wisconsin and other states too. Washington, believe it or not. Alrighty, guys, so I'm going to stop the share. Hello. Guys, there is hope. But it's not a certainty. It may even be a long shot. But as long as there's any hope at all, you work for it. You work for it. If there's the slightest chance of surviving and success, you always work for that. Because you just might succeed. And that's how you succeed. If you give up, you've lost. You've lost. Don't ever give up and never panic. So I'll be, in the end, we win. This I know. In the end, we win. And this is true for people around the world. We can win. We can persevere. We can come up out of this. and build a better civilization on the other side, should they go through the worst things that are imaginable. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. But this is where you need to, one, be proactive, be in contact with your congresscutters, but be proactive. Spend your money locally. Your dollar is a vote. Vote for your local artisans, the small guys. Don't spend your money on the big guys who are putting you in a set of that's not so great, if you know what I mean. Like Coca-Cola. You really want to buy more Coca-Cola? You want to support BlackRock? I talked about that in my last video. See, I covered a lot of ground in that last video. A lot of things. A lot of things that very interesting that I can talk about. But that's how you do it, guys. It's just how you go about it, how you say it, what you say, you know, questions you ask, you know, it's just there to paint perspectives so you can understand what we're facing in the world today and what some people think about it and what others think about it. You know, I try to cover these different things. But my friends, prep, get ready just in case. That's the final thing that you ought to do, and maybe one of the most important things you need to do. There's so many things that's trying to hit us right now. The trains are coming at us in so many different directions. You need to get ready. You need to prepare for yourself and your family. Guys, this is insurance for the future. That's what it is. People buy insurance all the time. That's what this is. It's just another kind of insurance policy. And it's the one that says, I can survive no matter what. And what else it gives you? A peace of mind. And it helps also keep you from going into shock should they hit and go, oh, I'm covered. Just like during when the bug panic broke out, you know, when the toilet paper preppers went nuts. I was laughing. I was like, really? Man, I already had this stuff. Because when you prep, you know, you're supposed to prep for everything you're going to use in your day-to-day life. You know, not just food and water. You know, what do you use? Hey, maybe you need some combs. You know, how many combs do you need? How many pencils do you need? You know, what do you need, guys? It's the stuff you use in everyday life. All of it. Prep it as much as you can. Greg, I can't afford it. Just do a little bit at a time. It accumulates over time. Trust me. Anyway, my friends, my final word to you is, well, finally, I'd like to say, when it comes to China and all this, well, there's a lot of good people in China. Remember those pictures, those smiling faces? They had hope. They had hope. There's good people everywhere in the world, of every race, color, creed, religion, in every city, hamlet. You know where you find people, you'll find good people. You'll find people to give you the shirt off their back. I was about to say give you the shirt off your back. Some people do that and sell it to you. You'll find them right here. But no, there are good people everywhere in the world. And that's also part of the hope. So what we really got to hope is that that somehow this percolates out to them, the idea that, hey, there's more of us than there is now. And I did an open letter to China on one of my videos way back when. I think it's about time for another. I also did one saying that Xi Jinping had fallen. And I did the Great Fall of China video. Now, I've seen some other big China. Hey, WWIII News just come out with the Great Fall of China. So I covered that months ago. I beat WWIII. So anyhow, guys, stay tuned. We got a video coming up with General Ken Krasniak and John Hollerman. Now, y'all really love John Hollerman when he's on my channel. I mean, that was a very popular video. He is quite the prepper, guys. And that is this evening, hopefully, good Lord willing. And we'll be doing a video with Thursday with David Pine. And David is going to talk to us about the threat of Russian war. Well, he thinks that's a huge threat. We're almost going to fall down that hole, no matter what. Almost. But he's got some hopes. He's got some ideas of things we can do to avert that. So let's hear it out. And that's some perspective to have. So, guys, that's one thing. We live in dangerous times. That's when you need to prep. You really seriously need to. If you ain't got that message by now, well, I don't know, guys. But maybe the thing is to share that message. Like I've said before, if the wider you share that message, the less likelihood your friends and family and neighbors are going to come to eat you because they got something else to eat in their pantry for a while. If they do come to eat you, hopefully you've had time to bug out ahead of time. And you got some cachets along the way of wherever you're going. with my Patriot Supply Food you got with prepwithgreg.com. Anyway, guys, finally, the final word is this. Always tell your loved ones you love them. You never know when it's the last time you're going to get a chance to do that. I lost a brother totally unexpectedly a couple of years ago when the bugs started around. And, I'm just lucky I made it through the wreck I had last April. Not too bad banged up, considering I got hit in the rear end by a transfer truck and ran into a power pole. It could have been a whole lot worse. You just never know. 1 second, everything's fine. You snap your finger and it's over. Bam. Things like that happen so fast. So always tell your loved ones you love them every chance you get. And finally, as light dispels dark, love dispels hate. Go shine your love light to the world. And with that, I'm going to say thank you for watching and have an awesome night. Greg out.